Kevin, are you there? Hey, guess what, guys? It's Friday Free for All. Joining Kevin Wilson and I in the future. This is bonus content because you guys know I can barely organize a show when I tape it myself. So Kevin mans the wheel and he was a bit distracted as I hit the live button. So I can't hear you, Kevin. Did you break your microphone? Or you can't hear me?
All right. Can you hear me, Tim?
I can. That's nice.
Yeah,
Gotta
weird. Yeah,
work out these bugs.
I know. We're live, and we like the moment went live. I'm gonna have to leave studio and come back in. I'm sorry, Tim.
No, don't
Failed
leave
mid-show.
me
It's a
all
good thing this
alone.
is the radio part.
All right, I will. Yeah, good thing it's not. Hey, so look, I'll shape the whole discussion, guys. We're going to be talking about Joe Biden killing ISIS. We're going to be talking about Joe Biden taking on cancer. We're going to be talking about that Zogby poll that I talked about yesterday. We're going to talk about Whoopi Goldberg. We're going to talk about the redistricting of New York State, guys. Redistricting is in air quotes.
Redistricting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little grumpy today, Kevin.
Yeah, no, it's totally understandable.
Yeah, no,
Grumpy
I'm a
today
little.
too. I'm gonna have to. I might at some point during the show go on a rant about sidewalk plows. And listen,
Do it,
it's
man.
not just a libertarian. It's not just because I hate when government provides services. They're
Right.
actively making my life worse, and I do
Of
this
course.
annually.
It's because they hate you, man.
It's
That's why.
because they do. They say like, "Oh, libertarian sign guy, I'm gonna dump 3 feet of snow in this bro's driveway."
Yeah.
Every time, every year.
Put a sign up.
I'm gonna start prohibiting. It's a private property. Stay off my sidewalk.
Keep your snow on your sidewalk.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll save that rant for the show.
All
for
right.
maybe
Beautiful.
section 3 when we start to
Get a slide off the rails.
Yeah. Right. When things get out of hand. That's when we'll do that.
Beautiful.
So do that. We there's real news in there.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have fake news. Of course.
We are going to have fake news.
It's Fake News Friday.
Or is it fake? That's the question.
Is it fake news, real news? We'll see. All right. Well, we'll start at 2:30.
All right.
Yeah. 10 seconds. All right. Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor. Welcome, everyone, to Fake News Friday.
Yeah, I'm a little grumpy today, Kevin. I'm a little unhappy. Like, I'm honestly, I'm starting to believe that the government hasn't handled this whole COVID thing very well.
What? No. Why are you a science denier?
No, I'm just like, I don't think they've. I think they've botched some things.
All right. Well, just generally, like you're just feeling the malaise here, like
the malaise. I would say it's a malaise. I'm worn out from COVID. I'm worn out from the government response to COVID. Kids sports has got me in a funk, man. Like when I watch those kids playing with masks on, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. No, I get it. I have my own like COVID issue. I've talked about it. I think I talked about it last week. My kid's on quarantine number 3. He hasn't had COVID yet, but every time that happens, because he's under a certain age, can't be vaccinated, nothing, like home for 10 days, no matter what, can't test out of it too. He can get a PCR test, be negative, and they're like, nope, still gotta wait 10 days.
What we had stuff set up that we were going to talk about. What are the things we're going to talk
about? All right, I want to get to so I had a caller on Monday. We were talking about like the Joe Rogan Spotify thing, right? And I was like, I'm totally indifferent to the guy. I don't care. Like, I don't think it's like that important. It's just like it's consuming everyone right now, and it's just become another dumb like tribal battle. And I think like that probably like annoys Joe Rogan from what I see too. But
sure,
he's just like, I'm just trying to talk to people. And so anyway, so we had this guy call in on Monday. I think it was Keith who had called in. He's like, oh yeah, no, the White House is getting involved with this, and I was like, nah, this is a private company thing. Like, people should hash out these issues about like what they want the platforms on their own. And if people want to pull from the platform, okay, if people don't, okay, not even made the case like, maybe I would have the right if like our show was on some station and it was sandwiched in between, like, the worst communist you ever seen, the worst Nazi you ever seen. Maybe I don't want to be on that station, or maybe I want both those people to hear my program, but that's my choice. I could choose not to be on there. I could choose to be on there and have people listen. I get to make that decision among
Yeah,
private entities, right? But anyway,
sure.
but going back to like what Keith said, he's like, oh yeah, the White House is going to get involved. And I was like, all right, well, if the government gets involved, I'll say something, right? Something happens. That was on Monday. So of course
You were skeptical, weren't you?
I was like, it hasn't happened yet. Like, so, and someone said, like, it might have been him or another guy, John, I think we would call in. And he's like, yeah, no, like, the Surgeon General had weighed in, and Surgeon General kind of just said, like, well, we should make sure that information is accurate, Spotify, Joe Rogan, etc. And I was like, okay, like, that's pretty soft statement. I'm not like freaked out about
Yeah,
that.
but they don't even make sure that their own information is accurate
No,
sometimes,
they get a bunch of stuff wrong. It's like
They
Joe
gotta
Rogan's not
better
immune from
themselves.
that. Like, he's just a dude, and he's like interviewing like people who are doctors who are sharing heterodox opinions. And again, if you don't agree with that stuff, then go and like
They we
have
should
your own opinion about it.
Yeah, we should deplatform the government, man. They should have no
No, we should.
access to anything. That's it.
Yeah. Deplatform. Get out of here. But
Can we
so
do that?
anyway, I want to get to what the White House actually said, because like there's a press conference. The other day, Jen Psaki's on there, and then she's for whatever reason weighing in on the whole Spotify controversy stuff, because
Because that's
Paul,
important. But you know why they're doing it is because it's popular, and because what Joe Rogan is offering, our society has lacked for a distinctly long period of time where we're having conversations again, and that
longer
threatens them.
conversations, right? Yeah, I mean, again, like there's plenty of places to do that. Like, we do that too. We'd like to think that we're entertaining and informative at the same time. Whatever.
Definitely.
You don't like it, then call in the show or leave your comments. Again, we're we're live on the online platforms. We're not live on the other on the radio, and this day,
But we have been, and
but
we
we
will
have
be
been, and
again.
I will be on Monday.
Nice.
But right now, leave your comments if like it. We always read, and I got calls about that, right?
Yeah.
But what she actually said is that it was a positive step that Spotify is putting disclaimers about COVID misinformation, in response to all this stuff. And so I guess any like podcast that mentions COVID on Spotify is going to get this now, which we have to check. We're on Spotify, like we're up there. Like,
We
so
are,
now I
dude.
gotta check. We talk about COVID all the time, and so like I gotta find out now if we got a disclaimer on ours too.
Probably,
And
you know?
I assume, or maybe we're not even that important. Doesn't even
Yeah.
matter.
And look, I want to say that look, I really like Joe Rogan. I really like what he's doing, but like let's talk about his ivermectin stance, okay? The government gets into using statistics like bogusly, okay? But Joe Rogan saying, "Hey, I took ivermectin and I'm fine from COVID," literally doesn't mean anything, okay? Like though I'll tell you this, that if I got really sick from COVID and my doctor said take ivermectin, I would take ivermectin, all right?
Oh, sure,
But
right. Yeah, you discuss it with your doctor, right? And
yeah, and
that's what it is, if that's what your doctor says. But I mean, like,
it,
maybe if you're taking, medical advice from the dude who's always talking about taking DMT, like you're
yeah.
not, maybe that's not the smartest move. Like, go talk to your actual doctor.
Yeah, no, and it's a one-off, right? When a guy says, "I took ivermectin and I'm fine." We don't know
Yeah.
if he didn't take ivermectin, would he have also been fine? Like, we don't
No,
actually
that's
know these
anecdotal,
things
right?
very well.
It's
So we're still there are things that I agree there are it's still in a state of quantum flux when it comes to COVID,
yeah,
but
right.
but one thing that is not in flux anymore is kids wearing masks. That's got to stop. It's ridiculous.
No, I
Sorry.
mean, yeah. Well, I'll get that. I gotta actually get to what the White House said. She says,
Yeah, do it. I'm
all right,
sorry, bud.
our hope is that all major tech platforms and all major news sources, for that matter, be responsible and be vigilant to ensure the American people have access to accurate information on something as significant as COVID-19. She said on Tuesday. That certainly includes Spotify. So this disclaimer, she goes on to say, is a positive step, but we want every platform to continue doing more to call out misinformation and disinformation, while also uplifting accurate content. And again,
Now, by
it
mis I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a second? By
yeah.
misinformation and disinformation, do they mean when the narrative disagrees with their misinformation or disinformation? This is where it's gonna get confusing for me. I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
hard time processing all this stuff.
Right. And so like, and you get in a tricky position, and Joe Rogan pointed this out again, correctly. And I don't look to him for a lot of information. I don't listen, but he had a response to this, and he's like, listen, at one point in time, it was like considered a conspiracy theory to suggest that maybe the virus emerged from a lab. right? And in fact, you'd get banned from Facebook, and
Yeah.
other platforms for suggesting as such. Now, very smart folks have said, actually, this is plausible. Like we don't know for sure it happened, but it's plausible, and we should discuss that.
Yeah, I think they're
Um,
going a little further and saying it's likely that it would at
yeah.
least at some point it interacted with a man-made virus to get to where it's at.
Right. I mean, yeah, it
That's my
depends on who
understanding.
you ask, right? Like, but it's like it's not completely out there to suggest that like it came from that. There's also like criticisms about like cloth masks, which is fair, right? Like now we're like, hey, maybe cloth masks, like we get why they're used in the beginning, but they don't work anymore. But for a while, like you said, like, hey, cloth masks aren't all that helpful. You
Yeah,
get pulled down from a platform for that. You get the warning for that. And it's like, well, actually the science has kind of changed on those issues. And talking to the folks who had the heterodox opinion, that's important. Some of the folks
yeah,
that he's, having conversations with, like it's important to talk that out. And then, he can have or not have, it's up to him, like whatever, competing opinions on that show and
yeah,
have the long form conversation about where the evidence actually lies. And again, Joe Rogan's not some like brilliant scientist who's going to ask like strong questions. He's going to ask the everyman questions, and like that's what it is. And if you want a different opinion to get out there, then go and put that stuff on CNN where 5 people will watch it.
That's actually a really good point. First of all, I think not for me because I know what it means, but for the people out there, what does the word heterodox mean?
Well, heterodox, it just means like kind of against the like kind of, I was gonna say
Goes against it.
hegemonic opinion, but like
Okay.
hegemonic's another like SAT word, like
And
against like the mainstream opinion, basically the opposite of orthodox.
opposite of okay, all right. And so look, that I don't. I listened to the McCullough broadcast and the Malone broadcast, and I don't know that they were that far from the mainstream opinion. They were saying there's problems with the way things are being reported. There's
Right.
problems with the fact that the latest Omicron variant has escaped the vaccine, and that now since it's escaped the vaccine, that the booster concept probably isn't going to work. So therefore, why
Right.
give it to kids? Okay, like why do it?
Well,
Especially
yeah, it's
young
like
young men
maybe.
and women and athletes, like, so
Well,
that's the
sure,
thing
if
that they
you have a
said.
drop in effectiveness, right? Like that's,
I I listened to
you
all
know
3 hours, and
all right.
they're
Well,
both
we got we'll
fascinating.
have to continue doing this after the break though, because we're coming up on break. All right. Thanks again for listening to A Free Solution. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
You
All right.
guys get bonus content on the internet
I know.
because we're still live, man. You can't
Still
get rid
alive.
of
Yeah,
us
no,
that
y'all,
easy.
y'all keep doing that. So hey, Ryan, Brian, Alice.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
love it.
all y'all listening. I know there's a few more listening too.
Yeah, I
But
appreciate it,
yeah,
guys.
say hi to us in the comments.
Yeah, do it, man. Yeah,
Like
bullying. I know.
Ryan's multitasking here.
Hey, he's like a professional boy. Ryan's open to business. He ought to give himself a little shout out in the comments there for the business that he's got started. Him and his wife started in this risky New York business environment. They started a business, and I want to, you know, advertise on a free solution, brother. We'll get you some clients.
There we
But
go.
give yourself some props. We'll put it up on the screen, bro.
I love sharing when folks start a business. It's like because
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been in that, and it's just trying to get the word out and having people understand. Um,
I, look at, and I think this is one of the things that people are turning to Joe Rogan for because there have been examples of entire like distribution of medicine and kits in India, for example, that seem to quell the spread of COVID and seem to
well,
quell serious what's the word serious
didn't we talk about this? The study about like why they figured out like why ivermectin might work and like specifically like India and certain other places. Did we talk
I
about this?
well, Kevin, I'm not as young as you, man. We probably
Yeah.
talked about lots of things. It's just I
All
don't
right, all right.
remember.
So like someone did like a meta study of like every study kind of graded them on like how good is it, how not good is it. I posted on my Kevin Wilson page like 3-4 months ago or whatever.
Right.
But so basically they found that in areas where there are high incidences of like parasites, those parasites make you more vulnerable to COVID
Okay.
because your body's working hard to like kind of deal with that. And
Right.
so if you distribute ivermectin, which is a anti-parasitic drug and they deal with the parasites, cases of COVID drop in that area because you're more likely to be able to have a milder form of that disease or less likely to get it in the first place if your body's not dealing with this other ailment. So it
Right.
seems like it did work there. There's not as much evidence to suggest that it gives you protection from COVID in if like you're not dealing with parasites, but it does
Right.
seem to if you deal with that medical issue that like complicates your immune response to like other diseases, then it's
Yeah.
going to actually help you.
Yeah, so one of the things that I read in a study is that the ivermectin has this tendency to, and so does vitamin D. Again, these are studies that I've read. I'm not a doctor, but that they have this tendency to alleviate what's called the cytokine storm in your body. And and again, when we teach our body to react better to viruses, that's at least a part of virology, right? If our body's not overreacting to a virus, it could kind
Yeah,
of
the
deal with
overreaction.
it on its own time. And that ivermectin and vitamin D do something to mitigate or alleviate or slow down the cytokine storm. So that's
Maybe. So I don't know about this. I did look up like zinc because you're telling me like, oh yeah, go get zinc. It's good. You know, I looked up
I like zinc.
so why it actually works, I found out, right? Like zinc like physically blocks some of the receptors like of your cells, like for getting like common cold and possibly other viruses too, right?
Yeah,
But in order for it to work, you have to like constantly like cover your cells. So it's not like a good prophylactic, but it's really good at the onset of symptoms because
yeah.
then like as like the the cells burst and spread the virus, then other cells can't get infected as easily.
I'm telling you, it's like,
So
and this is not science, guys. This is how Tim's
I
experience
see.
with
Alice, we're talking
yeah,
about zinc.
yeah, with zinc, right? Tim takes zinc cough drops when he gets a sniffle, right? But it does something. I can feel the coating of whatever that's in your body kind of starts to break up when you take zinc. So I'm assuming it does something to damage the actual virus that's on the surface of your skin too, like or
Yeah, so
separate
I
your
don't think
skin
it
from
does
it.
that. So like
It
again, from
feels
what I
like
read
it.
from what I read, like you have to like take it in a form that's going to physically coat like the inside of like your throat and like other
Yeah, and that's what
other
I do with my
areas
cough
where
drops.
you're vulnerable to infection. And so the again the problem is like because you have to do that, like it's if you take it all the time, it can create other problems in your body. But
Zinc's
like if you
not
take
perfect
it
for you.
no, like if you take too much of it, just like too much of anything, like it can cause issues.
Right, right.
So it doesn't work as well as like a prophylactic because it'll create problems. But when
To be
you start to get sick, it does seem to lessen the duration of that illness for some diseases. Anyway, we should
yeah,
probably get back to the
we
actual show.
forgot
Like
about the
none of this is
show.
going out over the radio, folks. This is all bonus
This is
content, like
bonus content for
nonsense,
you guys, our
because like
friends, man, and we appreciate you being here, man. I'm not even kidding. You know that. Like, that's real.
yeah. So, all right, so we'll get back to that, and it's 18 minutes. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're listening on WYSL or WACK or any of our friends listening online. Appreciate y'all being here. And again, I know we have an active online crowd tonight, and I think we started talking about this before the break. But Ryan, our friend Ryan listening is starting a business, Blooms and Arts, in Hoosick Falls, New York. Right on,
Good
man.
luck, brother. I think that's great. And guys, that takes guts in this New York State environment. This dystopian anti-business stuff. I'm proud. I'm happy to know people that are chasing their dreams. Good luck, Ryan. Sorry,
Yeah.
and
No,
that's
that's
wonderful.
that's awesome, man. Again, I've started a business before too. Like it ain't easy. Like good luck. Blooms and Art.
Yeah.
I have to check that out. And so anyway, we were talking before the break. We ended up spending like some time, during the break itself, talking about all sorts of other stuff.
Plant
Again,
scientists.
if you're listening to this on the radio, make sure you go and subscribe to us on YouTube, a Free Solution on YouTube, or a Free Solution on Facebook. It's also on the Kevin Wilson and Tim O'Connor pages.
The Freedom Train.
So sometimes on Thursday nights we have some bonus content for you. And so anyway, we're talking about we're talking about Joe Rogan stuff. We're talking about the White House weighing in on this. And again, Keith, you called in Monday. Yeah, you called it. You're like, oh yeah, no, the White House is going to get more aggressive about this. We'll see if they do, right? We'll see if they they put more pressure on tech companies to do this. Again, the issue is like sometimes these opinions that are outside the mainstream end up like having some level of truth to them, and having that discussion, you know,
Yeah, that's
ends up being
science, bro.
important. You know, it's
That's science, bro. Like, do you even science, bro? Like,
science, bro. I don't
literally,
know.
science is a debate. It's an ongoing enlightenment. It's research.
Yeah,
It's competing theories, and that's what it is, man. And that's
yeah,
where we should be at. Even Trevor Noah, like a notable lefty, kind of, hey, he's funny, but he
yeah.
came out and said, "Hey, Joe Rogan, what he's doing is not as bad as what the government is making it out to be. This is a conversation about stuff, and people are entitled to have it." And
Yeah,
then he kind of slid into some leftist lingo, but whatever. He was still
yeah,
pretty
when he
cool
does that.
overall.
Well, it's funny, like Joe Rogan's like kind of like a lefty sometimes too, because he was a Bernie
He is,
bro.
man. He's
Like, yeah, it's just I don't know. They're eating their own.
yeah.
You know,
So
and I know we're I don't know if we want to get into like the like other like it's so hard because like I now spent like way too much time talking about this and kind of the culture of free speech, you know, and like to me, I'm
yes,
like, man, this is like sort of a distraction from other stuff going on. We talk about, I mean, we could talk about the Whoopi Goldberg thing you want, you know, or we could talk about
I
we
do.
can move on to redistricting.
So look, I do.
You want to talk about that quick?
The
We
Whoopi
talk
Goldberg
about.
thing is at the top of my mind, man,
All
because
right.
I I think that I want to have this conversation of when we were younger, there was this clear line drawn between what's bigotry and what's racism. And bigotry was considered as bad as racism when I was younger. I think the world was I feel like in the 70s we were nicer to each other, Kevin. I'm not even kidding. Like there was less political the people at the top, we ignored them to the best of our ability, and we were nicer to each other. And so, and maybe I'm wrong. Like I'm sure people are going to say, "Bah, 70s, whatever, racist central," but I don't know. So when we get into what Whoopi said, and guys, look, this is where I said on my show yesterday, I'm like, I don't know if I might surprise you. I don't want her canceled. I don't want any of that, but I want her comments put into proper perspective. She was bigoted towards Jewish people. She was bigoted towards white people. It's and I don't know like how we it's not I don't know. Did we get in then racism? The Germans
What?
were absolutely racist. Now, whether race
Yeah.
is a social construct or not
All
is
right. Well, like if you haven't
semantic.
like heard about the you know, what she said, she basically said that like the Holocaust wasn't a race thing because like you know she's like Jewish people aren't a race is what she said. I mean, I to me I kind of chalk that up to being like a really poorly made and like sort of misunderstood point about how like fascism operated in Germany because it was racialized to them. You know that might
It was
be
to them.
incorrect,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, and like, but it was to them, so it was made a racial thing. You know, we talk about how it like it wasn't just that too, you know, because there are other categories of people who were slaughtered in the Holocaust. You
Mhm.
know, that weren't necessarily connected to race itself, although they were connected to their vision for race purity. And like the politics that are complicated, and every time you end up weighing in on that, like I like to me, like I'm like the suspension is like a little bit silly. I'd rather see again more speech with this stuff. I'd like, and she said it a couple times, and people are like, "Hey, that's not a great opinion." And then she apologized, right? And then she got suspended anyway. I don't know how sincere the apology was, but
Look, she tried to it wasn't an apology at first, it was an explain away what she said,
right,
and
right,
she did say, Kevin, I wanna be clear, she said, "That is white people killing other white people, that's not a
right.
race issue," and look,
Which
that's
yeah, no, she did say
bigotry,
it like
Kevin.
that, and I'm like that's a
That's
bit,
bigotry, bro. That's
you
bigotry.
know, and it's like
That's
they
hate.
in Europe they do not and did not and you know like not really ever have thought of themselves as like a whole white race. The Germans sure as heck didn't. You know, they're like, no, we are a distinct thing. Like nationalism
Yes.
is a heck of a drug. You know, and they're like, no, the people over here, the Slavs, they're a different race. We gotta kill them. You know,
We'll
Jews, they're a
kill 'em
different
all.
race. We gotta kill
Yeah.
them. You know, in like other parts of Europe, you know, they have their weird arbitrary categorizations, and race is arbitrary. The whiteness thing is arbitrary, you know, and it's changed in the United States too.
Yeah.
You know, because again, there's people from certain European countries that for a long time weren't considered white. Italians weren't considered white. Irish weren't considered white.
Well, I'm
Like
Irish and
people from
Italian, so I'm not considered white. That's
yeah, no,
unfortunate.
like at one point in time, that's like just how
Yeah,
it was, but because
true.
the definition of what that is has changed, and it's specific to time and place. Again, at one point in time in the United States, white meant one thing. 100 years later, it meant a different thing, and you go over to Europe, and it means a totally other thing. And you go to South America, and it means a different thing. Like again, race is a social construct. It's all made up to like divide us. I
I
mean, there's
agree.
some physical differences, but most of it is arbitrary and just built on nationalism.
Okay, so there's differences between me and my own children. Like there are
Yeah, right.
that's a reality. So pigment in your skin. There is a belief system that goes along with this race that allow that like what the Nazis espoused and stuff like that. So that's the issue where we seek to divide ourselves. And there's a movement on TikTok, Kevin. You might be surprised, right? Like there's one race, the human race. And that I love it, man.
That sounds
I
nice.
think it's a
Yes.
good way to have a conversation. And that doesn't deny that there is societal structures that create problems for people based on their economic strata. And that started with the color of their skin. It did. Okay.
Right.
Like stop. Like there's no way around that. So,
Right. I mean, I like it always gets weird when you talk to like partisans on the far right or left, when you have those
yeah,
conversations, right? Because you're like, all right, like I can both acknowledge like the issues that came about because of like racist policy and culture, and also think that the social construct that it was built on is stupid and worth dismantling, and trying to pick apart and you know, uh I don't know. So anyway, I don't know if we want to talk about this anymore. We could talk, what do we get?
no,
We got like
let's get
Gorman
away
stuff.
from it. I don't want her fired. I don't ever watch The View. I don't think that
Yeah.
they should have any say in public policy, but they kind of
Okay.
are
It's
popular,
it's it's
and that's
it's
it.
again one of those goofy things. It's like again to me, like I'd be like, all right, have a conversation, push on this. Like she wasn't fully canceled. She's gonna be back in 2 weeks. She's not
Maybe.
off the show. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. She
Yeah.
is fully canceled. Well, who knows?
Our
And
friend Brian has an interesting comment. You mind if we field that?
yeah, you could do that. I mean, yeah, I mean that's what it
Yeah.
is, right? And
And
again, it's
even and look, I'm gonna
contentious.
be honest, like even Jewish people consider themselves a race, and I get
Yeah,
it. That's
sometimes it's
fine.
a
That's fair. That's your deal. But I'm a one race human race guy, and that's the
yeah.
way I'm gonna be.
So yeah,
Brian's
so
right.
there's a whole bunch of stuff on that whether it's a race that this the just a religion, whatever. There's a whole bunch of complicated stuff going on there, which we're not going to solve now. But again, I would prefer, again, this is like a culture of having conversation type of thing. I would prefer people to have conversations about this and be able to have that discussion and not totally get shut out and say you're not allowed to have that opinion, because she can have that opinion and we could tell her it's stupid if we think it's stupid. That's what it is.
Right, and I do think it was stupid. Don't get
Yeah,
me
there
wrong.
you go.
It was bad. It was
Tim is not
inappropriate.
shy to share his opinion. He just
No, no,
no, Tim, you
that
just
was
do
it
your
was
thing.
bigoted, and it was stupid, and it was mean-spirited, and it was all of those things.
Yeah.
And
All
I
right.
still don't want her canceled because I don't want to be canceled, and I want to be able to. I want freedom for everybody, even people that disagree with me. That's crazy. It's not just freedom for me, man. It's
It's
freedom
freedom
for
for
you.
everybody. All right.
That's real
So
freedom.
all right. So I'm gonna move on from this. We got like 2 minutes left, and this is where I'm gonna like squeeze in like just a minor rant. Like
Do it.
every time there's a snowstorm happening right now, right? Every time this happens, government funded sidewalk plows leave a big pile of snow in my driveway, and I'm just so mad about it. Like, all right, like
On your
I pay
private property,
taxes for
Kevin?
this. I don't. Yeah, well, it's on the
Wow.
sidewalk, so it's owned by the city. What drives me nuts about this though is just that, like, I clear my sidewalk, I clear my driveway. For whatever reason, they don't like plowing the sidewalk in front of my neighbor's house, so they stop. And they stop partway through my driveway, leave like 3 feet of snow in the middle of it, and leave like 4 inches of packed down snow across the sidewalk that might have been clear otherwise. Drives me nuts. I pay
Oh
for
my.
this in my taxes. Just
If you were
and now like it's impassable. I can't get out in my driveway, and if you're walking, you can't get out now. Like
if you had a
the sidewalk is no longer passable because they've left a 3-foot wall of snow.
They don't care about
totally defeating the
at all.
purpose of like plowing the sidewalks in the first place.
It's a trap, Kevin. It's a trap. They're trying to get you to call in and complain, and they'll be like, "How do you like that, libertarian, calling us
You
in
know.
for assistance?
Well,
I'll be
so
right
so
over to get."
I totally
No.
did like I went to a meeting 2 years ago and I talked to the person who is like in charge of that and they're like, "Oh, well that's a contractor and we can't do anything about it." I'm like, "Well, who hires the contractor?" She's like, "Well, I do." And I'm like, "Do a better job."
Do
Hmm.
something.
God.
Do
All right. Anyway,
something.
that's my quick round of that.
I
This is
love
my
it.
annual tradition, but appreciate all y'all joining us on a free solution. We'll talk about we'll talk about an actual issue for the next segment. So we're going to be
Will we?
back in just a few minutes. Again, Kevin Wilson and Tim, the Freedom Bearing O'Connor. Talk
Oh.
to you in a few. All right. So that's segment 2. Yeah. Government totally defeating the purpose.
And look, I put this up here. Alexander Victoria is an important person. She has done a lot of research on this stuff. She so some of my knowledge about these things comes from her understanding of it as well. And she's like a science writer, like I don't know, as a Rhodes Scholar or something where you go to other countries and they pay you to write books and stuff. It's like she's cool like that. Like she's real deal. She's a real libertarian. And I believe she's running for office in what is now the new gerrymandered district of New York 18, no longer
Oh
New York
my
19.
goodness.
And I got some friends that are pretty upset about that.
I want to talk about that. No, I think we're on what was the show? We're both out on as congressional candidates, the Libertarian, I forget what it's called, but the Libertarian National like video show. Her
Oh,
and I
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
both on as
LPN,
candidates one time.
LPTV.
LPTV, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. With what's his name? God, I can picture his face right
Is
now.
it
And
was it Dan Fishman or is it who?
no, it's
No,
the other
no.
guy. Pat.
Pat. Okay, yes. All right. I feel super bad that I'm forgetting it. That was like 2
He's a
years
great
ago for
guy,
me,
man.
but yeah,
He
yeah.
was at the LPNY conference. He's a good guy. He's
Yeah.
got great strategies. And Pat, if you ever watch this, please forgive me for forgetting your last
Pat
name.
Ford.
It will come to me.
Was it Pat Ford? Is that who it
Yes,
was?
Pat
Pat
Ford. My
Ford.
God, yeah, he's great.
Brian bailed us out there. Yeah.
Thank you. It's the pressure. It's the pressure of being on TV performing that causes these things.
All right. So we should in a second get back to like the actual show.
Yeah, we
So
got it.
we're not here. We're gonna be here all night.
3 hours. That's what Joe Rogan does.
3 hours.
But he gets like $100 million, so it's different.
Yeah,
It
like
is
I mean,
different.
if I was getting like $1 million, like I do that for
Honestly,
yeah.
look
No, I
at
talk for 3 hours, $1 million.
so what is it like 2,000 divide that by 3, so roughly he puts in 700 hours for $100 million. Like if we were getting paid somewhat similar to that, we'd do this hourly. Like we just keep going.
Yeah, right. It's yeah.
See my
We'll figure it out, and then we could
yeah,
hire people to like do research and whatnot too. That's
why not?
yeah. Just saying.
Research. That's overrated.
Overrated. No, just wing it.
That's right. Let's wing it, bro. All right.
Uh,
I'll shut up.
yeah. All right. So we'll go back at 33 minutes. Yeah, that was a long show. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here, man.
Again, thank you all for listening, wherever you're listening, whether it's on WYSL, WACK out in Newark, or all the places you can listen online. Free Solution YouTube channel, Free Solution Facebook page, the Free Solution group, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Tim pages, the podcast, wherever it is. Even Spotify. We're there too.
Even Spotify, we're there. We're there. And always, guys, I say thank you to WSL and WACK for being willing to put crazy libertarians like Kevin and myself, and therefore, by extension, you guys, let our voices be heard in a mainstream media outlet. And so, guys, thank them however you can. Use their website. Buy stuff from the sponsors on the show. It's important.
WYSL1040.com. We can
That's
also
the
find the
one, man.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we should talk about let's talk about gerrymandering. Well, sorry, excuse me,
Jerry
redistricting.
Gerry-Nadler-Mandering.
I
Nadler. It would have been funnier if I said it right. Gerry-Nadler-Mandering. Like, guys, anyway, Democrats are in charge of New York State. So what do Democrats do, Kevin?
well, they may have slightly drawn the districts in a way that's favorable to them.
Yeah,
Maybe a
slightly.
little, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
Somehow, you end up with even fewer Republican districts. Even
isn't that
more
weird?
Democrat.
So
Weird how
long.
that happens.
Yeah, good luck, Claudia Tenney. They basically took her district away. She's the one
Well,
that
I hear
redistricted.
she's gonna move to a new district.
Well, she's in a new district, so she can run in that district, right?
Well, I think she might move. So she was thinking of running in New York 23, and
All right.
then Chris Jacobs, who's thinking of instead running in New York 24. I don't know like if this is gonna end up actually happening, but like
Yeah.
there's rumors going around that they're gonna like go to those districts because it's maybe a slightly better situation for them. It's going to be interesting if it plays out that way. The Republicans play musical chairs with the congressional districts, with an increasingly smaller pile of scraps
Oh, I
that the
know.
Democrats allow them.
To have. That's where we're at in New York State. Like, I don't even know why Democrats want that. But I will say that gerrymandering is the perfect example of how once they get in power, they do everything to enforce their power, reinforce their power, and play games of we're doing that to represent you. And
Yeah.
guys, this is why even in that Zogby poll, 75% of people in New York State want like better form of representation. They want term limits, though I know there's an argument about term limits. I get it. But they want open primaries. They want real competition. They want real voices being brought in. So new voices, right? Period. And look, a libertarian, a Harvard trained scientist, it took the time to actually redistrict New York State. He made all of his work product available to them, and they just ignored it. Like they got rid of that commission that was originally supposed to kind of try to keep things fair and move it in a constitutional New York State constitutional direction.
So they had a commission. It's just that they ended up not coming to a consensus on proposals. So
They were
there's
fighting.
basically a Democratic proposal and a Republican proposal, and because they can't come to a consensus, basically it's probably going to get kicked back to the state legislature, which is because it is a majority of Democrats in both houses. Still need to get a super majority in order to make it pass, but they might do it anyway because like why not? They're in power, it's like it's wild because you hear some arguments about this stuff where they're talking about like how Republicans are gerrymandering like in other places, and like literally folks are like, well, because the Republicans are doing it in order to like keep a balance in Congress, Democrats need to do it in states like New York. So like, it's fair. What? No, just
There's
don't do it
nothing.
anywhere.
There's
Well, I don't know,
nothing
but
to care about. But yes, I know
but
that's their argument.
again, I
That
don't
is
know
their
if this,
argument.
yeah, I mean, like, I know what like map you're talking about with the like the kind of more objective system that kind of came out of a nonpartisan mindset. I don't know if there's a totally fair way to do this. Like to me, I think you need at least smaller districts, and then there's this idea from commenter Alexander Torrey says gerrymandering solution. Instead of having many winner take all single seat districts, we should have multi-seat districts where representatives are chosen through a proportional representation system.
That sounds good to me. I don't know what she means
Yeah.
exactly.
No, I mean, all right. So like basically it's like, you have like an area where instead of just electing one person who gets a plurality of votes, like they could get, 40% in the three-way race, and then that person gets elected.
Right.
You instead say, okay, there's going to be 10 seats for this district, and those get divvied up based on the number of votes. So
Okay. Yeah, that's what I guess. I'm not as dumb as I play on TV, but I guess that's what I thought it was. And I
yeah, I mean
the
that's a way of doing. You can do it like other
yeah,
ways where it's divvied up that way, or divvied up with like at-large seats versus district seats within it. Like there's several ways of doing that, but that's kind of
yeah.
the basic concept.
They were giving it was giving me a headache though when I start hearing like proportional boards of representatives to get a representative. It's just like my brain hurts.
No, and I know like not all folks like it. I think Brian's responding to that proposal and says that sounds akin to abolishing the electoral college, not a good thing. I mean, it's not perfect. There's a lot of parliamentary systems that operate this way, right? Like there's interesting, like there's um Germany like does some of this too. So that's why you'll see like kind of more like Green Party and Liberal Party folks get elected to parliament, not just like the SDP, the Social Democrats, and like the Christian, I forget what it's called. There's some Christian something party.
Right.
So both those are basically like the two big parties there, but you have all these like minor parties who are able to pick up seats because they have this system that allows for a little bit more of that. And we'll
Yeah.
read this other comment from
Victoria Alexander.
yeah.
She's an absolute expert on this stuff. I love
Yeah,
her
and
work.
it says, you'd have representatives from a number of parties based on number of votes. So if so, you might end up with 10% libertarians in office. Yeah, again, if you get
Be a good start.
yeah, and that's how it works in those parliamentary systems, right? Where it's like you once you get over a certain threshold, that gives you a seat. And
Well,
you might have like a list of people like, all right, if we get one rep, this is the person who's going to go in. You get two reps, this is the second person who's going to go in, and you have like a list of however many folks who would get elected in the office. I mean, generally, I think like the way our districts are right now, like it's now so many people, like you can't reasonably represent their interest well.
and they chop
And
up the counties, Kevin. Like you can't.
well,
Your assemblyman has 1/4 of my assemblyman has 1/4 of Otsego County. That's a clown
yeah,
show. Okay,
well,
you
I
can't
see.
build
Like,
consensus there.
here's the thing, and I know. Forgive me, Dr. Mark Legowski, who's going to yell at me. I think our counties are arbitrary borders too. Like, I don't think that really like matters much to me.
Well, we have to. I know. Like you're a pure libertarian. I'm not a real libertarian. Here's the reality, right? We
Abolish
have
all
to structure.
borders, Tim.
Yeah,
Abolish them all.
we have to structure
Let's
these
start
things
people
for
off.
some sort of organization, though. Like, how will
Yeah,
I
no,
get one
I
county to
suppose
lead?
so, right? Like, all right, so like you look at the map right now, though, like it makes sense. So the congressional redistricting map, right? Like it makes sense to keep kind of like Monroe County, Rochester area sort of together, right? Like, which is what happened in that map. What's a little bit more goofy is how like you have that weird like horseshoe shape in District 24 now.
Oh my God,
And
yeah,
like when I used to live in like the old, I think it was old District 24, like it was like a weird like vacuum cleaner shape. Uh,
yeah.
you know,
You know what? Mine looked like a ray gun. Senate District
yeah.
51 went all the way down to Ulster County, guys, and all the way up to the very tippy top of Herkimer County, but not the whole county. Then all the way out to Cayuga County and a little pointy thing up top. Then it took all of Cortland County, and then it went down into I want to say Tompkins County too, and like then back through half of Shenango County. It's ridiculous, man. It's embarrassing. These clowns did it to get themselves reelected. It was in honor of Elbridge Gerry. I don't know. He's the guy that created gerrymandering, and now it's
Because I
going to
had the
be Gerry-Nadler-Mandering.
Gerry-Nadler, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's fun.
like we'd love to hear your comments. Maybe we'll talk about this another time too. It's
Yeah,
just is this a fair redistricting process? Both the congressional and the Senate redistricting, like it seems like they're writing things in favor of themselves. The Democrats are. So I don't know. Again, would love to hear your comments. So we're about to head to our Fake News Friday segment, though. So we're going to talk about that, talk about whether or not some items are fake news or real news. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. All right, that's fine.
yeah,
Trying to give a few more seconds.
yeah. So we could get the cuts in.
Yeah. So
Kevin and I do our own editing, sort of.
yeah.
Bob probably fixes everything for us.
Well, he adds all the music in now because I was adding it in, and he's like, "No, don't stop doing
He's like,
that, Kevin."
don't. You're helping me too much. Please stop.
Basically.
I get it.
Yeah. Oh man, I was trying to find. I couldn't find the article where like it's like a Politico article or something where they're talking about how like it's a good thing that New York is gerrymandering like in favor of Democrats. And I can't find it.
I know. Look, that's authoritarian justification for anything. Like they literally can prop up their actions regardless of how bad they are because
Well,
they're virtuous.
the other team is doing it, so we got to do it too in order. All right,
Yeah, you got it.
give me a break.
Just cut it out, people, please. So I don't know. I'm hopeful, man. Like I like that Trevor Noah talk about Joe Rogan. Facebook lost Did you hear about this Facebook deal?
No.
Oh my God, maybe I should save it for fake news.
Oh, you can. All right.
All right,
Well,
I'll save it.
we'll talk about, yeah, we'll go back in at 44:30. One more 12-minute segment, so math it out, 56:30. So it is. All right, back in 10. It's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson here today, joined by Tim O'Connor. And yes, it is Fake News Friday, where we read off some headlines and try to see if the other hosts can figure out if it's fake news or real news.
Yeah, and it's fun, guys. But I have one for you, Kevin, and it's going to be a big toss. Basically, the scientists, the financial advisors of the world, have figured out why, guys, Facebook lost 27% of its value, and the reason is that Facebook fact-checking system has to admit that Joe Rogan tells less lies than they do. They gave a little bit more of a craftier explanation, but that was the gist.
That's the reason.
That's the news. Is that real news or is that fake news?
That's fake news.
I totally made that up.
Yeah.
Sources are me, but yeah. So, but the real news piece of it is interesting, right? That Facebook lost 27% of its value in one day. And while people are talking about Spotify losing $4 billion, Facebook lost 200 and yes, that's right. Exactly.
So it says Neil Young pulled his music from Facebook.
$234 billion in value. And you know why it really is, Kevin? Because I have it is because they suppress libertarian voices.
That's well,
they could make so much more money by getting people to engage with our content, and that's free for them. Do you know what the real reason that they're claiming it is?
But is it because like ad revenue, or no? It's because the user are down, at least among teens, right? Like, so like the younger users aren't joining and staying on the platform as much. Is what I thought it was. I didn't actually read past the headlines on those. I was like, seems important. I'm gonna get to that later.
It's because they are not. Because of Apple's new privacy policies, they are not effectively collecting your data to give you ads that are current to you. So when people were saying, "Hey, I think Facebook's listening to me," they were tracking your movement through the metaverse.
So, all right. So I'm gonna let you in a secret. Like, this is what I do for a living. And to be honest, as a Facebook advertiser, the iOS 14 update like totally stunk for us.
It did, right? It killed you.
No, it did. Like, it's made things more difficult. I mean, like, to me, I'm weird. Because I work in this space too, like I kind of get how the data is collected. It doesn't actually bother me that much, but like basically what the Apple update did is that when you go to a website, there'd be a thing on the website called a pixel. And that pixel would be able to connect your actions on the website to your profile. And then advertisers would be able to take that information and do a couple things with it. One, they could like retarget you. You visited the site, you didn't buy. They'll send you a new ad, with a coupon for 15% off.
Like with a coupon. I'm fine with that. Like if I'm
shopping. And then the other thing they would do is like, okay, you go on a website, you're shopping for belts. Well, Facebook now knows you're looking at a belt website. So they're going to say Facebook is going to say, okay, all the people who are trying to get folks to buy belts, we're going to show them the ad, their ads now too, because this person's interested in belts. So that's why, like, before this, you go to a website for one product and then suddenly you get barraged with other products. Like, that's how it works. And that's what I do for a living. And so now you have to, unless you opt into this system, or there's some ways to get around it as advertisers. Just a heads up, your data is still being collected in different ways.
Sure.
But basically,
or slightly less through your Apple.
The targeting is now based on actions you take on Facebook itself, or you voluntarily give to these companies, right? Who then upload a list or sell it or whatever. And you can actually go on Facebook and you can see who has uploaded your information, who is using like your information to target you, and like all of it's there. And you can see like again what actions you've taken on every website that Facebook has recorded. It's all there. I did like a whole show on it like a few months back.
Yeah. I love it, man. I mean, I got nothing to hide. I'm doing nothing wrong.
Yeah. It's just yeah, again, like it's what it is. I do you know,
Yeah.
I do this for a living, so like I know exactly like what is being collected, not collected,
Uh-huh.
how much information the advertisers themselves have, which is basically nothing. Like the advertisers don't really know unless it's first party data. They don't know who you are. You're just saying Facebook show it to these people, and
Correct.
Facebook knows way too much about you. The
That's
advertisers
true.
don't actually know that much.
That's awkward.
Yeah. So
Uh,
anyway, yeah, sorry, that's my rant on Facebook because that's what I do for a living, and I could talk about this for literally hours.
yeah,
It's
but no one wants that.
no, this is not a marketing podcast. So I won't talk to you about Facebook's conversion API and
Pixels, though. Pixels, I thought that
pixels.
was camera stuff. I don't
So it
know.
is, and you can block them too. It's a browser thing. That's what Apple
Yeah.
blocks is that, and also mobile ID stuff
Okay.
too, which is yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. When I read it, I was like, yeah, definitely Facebook shows me ads from websites that I've just been on when I'm on my computer. It doesn't do it when I'm on my phone. So
Yeah.
obviously something's going on.
Yeah. Some browsers like Mozilla blocks it, and a couple others do. Chrome keeps talking about how they're going to block it, and then they just
Because
haven't yet.
what we'll do is just charge you more money. That's all. Like you pay us. This is how things grow. It's we live in an interesting time for sure.
No, that's a market response though. And again,
Yeah.
for people like me who are trying to get like products of small businesses in front of folks, get people to buy them, it's like, all right, well, what do we do next? How do we help these small businesses, make sure they can get in front of an audience that's interested in their product?
Yeah, so their revenue forecast would drop like 15%. So their stock price lost $246 billion. It's an interesting reaction. I do have another one if you're interested.
All right. Well, you gonna let me go?
Oh yeah, that's right. It's your turn.
All right. So here's the headline: Historic bridge to be dismantled so Jeff Bezos' super yacht can pass through.
Oh yeah, that's real for sure. I mean, is it real that they're demolishing the bridge for Jeff Bezos specifically? No, but is it? Yeah, I mean, I just know that that's how some bridge remodeling is getting framed somewhere.
All right. So you're saying it's a real news.
Real, it's real. Let's say a real event. It's a real headline. Is it actually real though? That's where I'm like, maybe.
Yeah. So I would say this is mostly fake news. And here's
Okay.
what I say, because like there's a bunch of headlines that have said this. And the way the headlines and like the first like 3 paragraphs of this go, it's like, look at Jeff Bezos destroying this historic bridge. Like, well, that's not actually what's happening. This has happened a couple times before with this bridge.
Yeah.
So he is like someone had contracted to like build a big yacht, and as they started building that, they realized that it wasn't going to be able to get
Uh,
through to like the ocean
that's
because
awesome.
of like the bridge is too low, which like it's
Yeah.
a bridge that can like lower and raise, and so ships can pass through it, just it can't
Right.
raise enough. So basically what they're going to do over a 2-week period is they're going to remove that section of the bridge for a few days, let the yacht pass through, and then put it back.
Oh yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's
All right. Hey,
so
you
they're
know
not
who else
destroying
has?
the bridge. They're not like blowing it up
No.
because Jeff Bezos like decreed it.
Do you know who else has historic bridges?
Where?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah. Pittsburgh is where the bridges have been. One just collapsed last week. I don't know if you
Oh
saw.
yeah. That's right. Oh my gosh.
I was
Yeah.
hoping you'd catch right. I catch right on
No,
to that
like
one quick.
man, it's late. Yeah, just it's late. Like I have an infant in the house.
The historic bridges of Pittsburgh.
Uh yeah, no, I didn't catch that one. Oof.
Yeah, that's all right. So, so look
Anyway.
that. So look, there's still a lot of support out there for Andrew Cuomo. Um, they people are taking to social media. People are filling his campaign coffers. They want him to run for governor again. They want him. They want him to exist in the political sphere. They feel like he's been poorly treated. So the headline is they defend Andrew Cuomo. Could that even be real news, Kevin?
Yeah, I've seen people on Twitter. There's like some folks who are like, Andrew Cuomo did nothing wrong. He got railroaded. He's still my hero. I think there's someone who like wants that to happen. Is it a lot of people? Gosh, I hope not. But
So look, this is from the New York Times, man. Like they're saying that it seems to be a real, actual movement. That there's literally thousands of people who
there's
are
tens of people.
I know. I was trying to read the article and see if they were really like, were they really just trying to say it
There's
was five,
dozens
like
of us.
giving five people some sort of prop up? But it really looks like there's people all over the country who still support Andrew Cuomo and want him to run for president. They're selling Cuomo merchandise, like the word
No.
alleged in quotes, and I don't know, but so it's sort of true.
Sort of true. There's someone who still stands Andrew Cuomo. Do people still use that word anymore? I don't even know. But no, weird. No, no. See, Andrew Cuomo is proof that sometimes cancel culture is okay. That's
all right. I can get behind. That's like the Canadian truckers hating the roads. That's a lie I can get behind, man. I'm like they hate their roads. Yes, they want.
You're like,
They
yeah,
want.
no. All right, let's do that. All right. So we're about out of time. So appreciate y'all listening here today, folks. On a free solution. I'm gonna be back Monday doing a live show for everyone then. Tim will be back next week, and I might have Craig Miles subbing in for me every Wednesday this month too. So make sure you're listening then too. He's been great.
Craig's great, man. He's so much nicer than me.
All right. So thanks again for joining us. Appreciate y'all being here. We're out of time. Have a wonderful night. Take care.
Yeah. Great weekend, everybody.
There we go. Great weekend. I said wonderful night. Like I'm not doing a day show for this.
I tried to help you out with that.
Yeah, there we go. That's gonna get cut in editing.
Yeah. Shelly just showed up. Hey, Shelly.
Hey, Shelly.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, the Facebook valuation could be a correction, Victoria. Like for sure. What is their scheme here? What they limit access to live broadcasts on all sorts of levels. They want money from us, but then they ban really popular people like what's that guy? The Anomaly. He gets banned. And back when I first started doing lives, I used to get like 10, 20, 30 people. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not that exciting, but I just can't believe that. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like they are struggling in a bunch of different ways to keep users on their platform. I know some folks are like, there's too many ads. Honestly, like again, my unpopular opinion is that like because ad options have gotten limited, like you're seeing more ads that aren't relevant to you, so you're noticing it more.
Yeah.
But
they're kind of a dinosaur. Plus, they're getting so like hierarchical that they can't respond to the market. They got lucky, right? They were when it was freewheeling and unlimited. They got lucky. People found
and they're like they keep trying to like like just copy whatever the latest trend is, right? Like what they try to do, like they bought Instagram and then they tried to copy Snapchat, and now Reels are basically just trying to copy TikTok,
ripping off TikTok. We're on TikTok.
Yeah.
I have 700 followers on TikTok already. I'm gonna be bigger than Stephen He. Guys, he's funny. You got to check him out, man. The guy that does emotional damage. You're gonna hear kids saying emotional damage, and they're gonna be yelling it at the top of their lungs.
Emotional damage. Yeah.
That's him.
I know.
Him. Dude, and he does these things where he's spoofing his dad and him and his dad and the conversations that they have. It's honestly, it's hilarious, man. I'm not gonna lie. He's great. He's really funny.
I see a few of his stuff. I've been terrible about like maintaining the free solution TikTok. So like you apparently you got the system down.
Well, it takes like 20 seconds to make a TikTok. All you gotta do
I
is
know.
rant into your phone, and like then sometimes people like it and sometimes they ignore it. And I do
Yeah.
that whole that's where I was getting this movement, this one race,
Yeah.
thing. And so a lot of there's a decent number of people with different color skin than I am that are saying things that are, I feel, healing our society. And so I'll duet with them, and those are pretty popular. Like I'll just sit there and be like nodding, and people like that. So I don't know.
You're the nod guy, just like,
I'm the,
yeah,
yep, a grumpy old man. I'm the freedom variant, and my hashtag is the grumpy old man.
yeah.
Yeah, get off my lawn.
Well, I have a my like personal TikTok account where I don't actually post anything. Is my handle's like Old Man Wilson something.
You should say Woodrow Wilson.
No,
You
no,
would
thank
you
you.
would end up in liberal TikTok.
Yeah,
And
no, I get enough liberal TikTok. They get confused because sometimes I like libertarian stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this guy must be a leftist because like he liked the video about ending the drug war, so we're gonna
yeah,
show him communist propaganda."
there's I found a leftist who was saying, "Look, you guys that love the state are not actually liberals. You're fascists. You need to knock it off." And she's like, "But I'm for workers' rights for real, and I want collectivization, and I want this, and I want that." And I had just this immense amount of respect for her, and it was very real. And so, even though it's like looking at my phone, it's not really real.
Yeah. Well,
But
no, there's occasionally like left libertarians, like actual left libertarians who are anti-state that I can
mhm,
like respect. I had Brianna Coyle on like, oh man, it was probably like a year ago. We talked about like mutualists for a while. It's like, all
yeah,
right, like mutualists who are actually anti-state, like I'm fine with them. Like they want to like go and like help each other out and like oppose the government and like just have guns and have their own like little commune, whatever. Like do your
yeah,
thing. I don't care.
yeah. Look, Brianna's an interesting figure in the Libertarian Party, and I wish her the best of luck. So that's
Yeah,
cool. She did a lot of good work for Mr. Queeter, and I
yeah,
believe she's moved to Ohio. So that's cool.
yeah.
That's what young people do, man. They move around, they do stuff like that. That's great.
Right on. Go where you need. All right, we should probably call it a night though.
I know, but I had a blast, man. I enjoy doing our Friday show together. We're focused on a little bit of humor, a little bit of politics, a little bit of serious stuff. It's a good time. Thank
Damn.
you.
All right. Well,
And thanks
thanks,
everybody
folks.
for being
Yeah,
here.
thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. All
Ooh,
right.
Shelly, what do you got? If Shelly's got a question, she needs our help. What do you need?
We line up to discuss something. Yeah. No, we got a whole show. We've been here an hour.
Where you been, Shelly? You got
I
you
give you a
left
minute.
no
I'm gonna
space.
explain because Ryan said like that flag next to Kevin looks like a ton of needles. So you got like a minute to do that before I bail,
All right.
so I can get like a couple sleep. I tried making a bunch of these flags. I tried to like price it out. I wanted to sell
Yeah.
these don't
Yeah.
tread on anyone flags. And it's got this porcupine I just like stole from the
I
internet
love it.
somewhere.
Oh, and
Oh,
there's
now
the rest of the
there's my
studio.
crappy attic. But yeah, that's it's not gonna stay up now. But yeah, no, it's I like the don't tread on anyone stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to sell
Yeah.
these and then have them, but like turns out buying flags, like unless you're buying like hundreds of them at a time, is expensive.
Yeah. Like having t-shirts made or hats. It's like $50 a hat when you get it like
Yeah.
6
Well,
of
if you
them.
get them actually produced, you do print on demands, which thought about it, but all
Too
right.
big a commitment.
There's this.
Let's do this one though. All right. I mean, there's a home health care shortage that is drastically affecting people with disabilities. We're making videos. Where should we direct them? You got Queeter is all over this subject. All right, like and I think Ryan's got a closing comment for you. There's
Take your shot.
like, there's a home health care shortage that is drastically affecting people. I think you gotta reach out to Queeter
Yeah.
and I know
Also,
it's
I mean, if you have info on it too, like y'all can always send stuff to like send to our free solution Facebook
oh yeah,
page too.
yeah.
Like if it's good stuff, we can talk about it. Like we'll do a show on it.
They can leave comments at the Spotify that we can play on the air maybe if we can figure you if
Well,
you
oh,
yeah.
on like Anchor, right? So you go to
Yeah.
like anchor.fm/a free solution and you can like leave voice comments and yeah, but yeah, no, we'll that Tim will connect you.
Yeah, Shelly, yes, I can. But now that means we have to connect outside of social media somehow. So I don't know if you still got Facebook or not. We got to figure that out.
Shelley's not on Facebook. But yeah, you could always send us a message and leave us a comment, whatever. So anyway, yeah, we should call tonight though. Thanks for bringing it up, Shelly, and yeah, we'll find a way to get a hold of you if it's because I've heard about some of the shortages of healthcare workers in that environment too. I admittedly don't know a ton about it, and don't feel confident in doing like a full show on it at this point. But if you have thoughts on this, would love to love to hear from you.
I put my email address up there, Shelly. I'm gonna take it down in a little while. You write it
good.
down.
You're gonna get all sorts of weird stuff now, Tim.
I know.
Good
I
luck.
know. I don't care. I already get weird stuff. So not even my. I get stuff from the Libertarian Party of New York. I don't even know what that's about. Just
How
kidding.
did they get your contact info?
Just kidding. All right, guys. I'm gonna bounce. Shelly, I'll talk to you in the sidebar conversation. Talk to you guys later.